talked about a girl looking for a reason, a purpose to leave.
A relationship.
All right. See, most of these guys that are close to their partners, they know the capacity, they know the extent,
The limits.
The limits, the pockets.
Okay.
You get. So a girl that actually, have your heart, she will not want you to spend redundantly. So most of these girls today, anyway, let me not say most of them, a few of these girls, like very, very few.
Some of them, okay.
Yeah, some of them, what they do, if they actually love a boy, they point you in the right direction. They want you to, okay, why don't you try this one out since the other one did not work out?
You.
Like they push you to your goal. They may even lead you to tears. You'll be like, who is this angel?
True.
You understand? So most of these girls, there are just a few girls, I beg your pardon, just a few girls that have this kind of mentality. Most of them are carried away by these social media material things. Look at what my friend's boyfriend got for her.
Let's not forget about social media influencers.
Yeah.
I just got a new hair.
Yes.
My friends need to see it.
Yeah. So
her boyfriend bought it for her.
You get. So as we're moving
like that.
together, I was the black sheep. I was the one that was left out. Look at them with their exorbitant
So
hair.
she was under pressure
Just
to be
look at you understand. So this kind of girl, that is, if Grandma Cooper met me, I'll say that's the reddest flag. You understand?
Okay.
So you understand. So that kind of thing, if a boy spots such error or such thing, nobody should tell you to, according to the balance, to borrow more leg and run.
Okay.
You understand? So a girl that really, really loves you will not overstress you.
All right.
You
Now,
understand?
Ramsey, what's your advice for young men who are in one-chance relationships?
Okay.
One chance in terms of, you know that the person you're with right now doesn't really have your interest at heart, but because you're already emotionally
Don't want to lose
attached,
her. Yeah.
you don't know what to do to opt out. What's your advice for such?
Let
guys?
me remind
In
them.
less than 30 seconds.
Yes, let me remind them if they've forgotten that you can give a woman everything. Give her all the money. There'll be one bicycle repairer. It could just be a driver. It could just be the vulcanizer by the roadside who is servicing her. Let me use that word. And you are the one spending the money. Women don't even know what they want. They can fall in love with anybody just for anything. So you can be taken as your dogu.
Some women.
Yes, some women. You can be taken as your dogu.
Okay.
Yeah, of
Why
course, yeah.
she would just love the other guy because of the way he looks. So if you think money can buy love, you will spend and spend and spend. At the end, it will still end in futility.
So in a nutshell, money can't buy love.
Can't buy love.
Definitely.
All right, Michael?
Yeah. I think, well, like I said, let me contribute to it. Get so most of these relationships that we find ourselves in, just do your level best and leave the rest. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to pressurize. Like you said just now, you said some women they found calmness, they found safe space in some certain persons. They can like a guy because of his sexual prowess. They can like one because of his pockets. They can like one because of his.
So there's no
the
particular
pockets.
reason why a
no
woman.
particular reasons.
Exactly.
They
Women are
are
attracted
ones
to men. Okay.
just insatiable. You just can't please them. So just do
your
your
best.
level best. You understand, and leave the rest.
All right, guys, I want to say a big thank you for making tonight's edition a success. You guys have been really, really amazing. Well, like they say, a word is enough for the wise. You really can't go beyond your limits. Every human being has a limit, okay? And the moment you begin to try to stretch your limits, that's when you begin to wear yourself out. And then the moment you're done, she would leave you for the next person. Okay, so just like they've said, if there's anything I can take away from what they've said so far, is the fact that you can't please anyone, not just women. Okay, you can't please anyone. Human wants are insatiable. Where you stop is where somebody else is going to begin. So why not just do the best that you can? And just like Michael said, the person that loves you will not stress you. Seriously, whoever loves you will not stress you. If that person you are dating is stressing you, just know that the person is not for you. And you'll be doing yourself a world of good to walk out of that relationship. It's been the Guys Hangout Show on Independent Television. I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you out there. A big thank you to the gentlemen in the house for making today a success. My name is Harry Agboje, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, ensure you make every single day of your life count. Do have yourself a beautiful night rest. Bye for now.
ITV, certainly the best.
TV, certainly the best. RTV, certainly the best.
welcome to our program, African Discourse on Independent Television. My name is Evan Sunobugi. Well, today we are going to be following what happened yesterday in the State House in Abuja, whereby heads of state, heads of authority of African states met in Abuja to discuss one of the ways forward for ECOWAS. And it was the 68th edition of the ordinary session of the ECOWAS Summit. And we're going to be talking along that line today and also look at issues that have been bedeviling the bloc. Talking about the need for the bloc to keep a regional stability together. And of course, when we look at what has happened recently, you know, most especially the coup issues that have taken, you know, I don't want to say taking a swipe, you know, among the West African states, but with what happened recently in Guinea-Bissau, and of course, the one that, you know, also happened some few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago now, to be precise, talking about the one that happened in Benin Republic, whereby the coup was fought. So the big question that we ask is, can ECOWAS as a bloc still guarantee regional stability? That's what we're going to be talking about today on the program, African Discourse. And we're so privileged to have somebody that has traveled far and wide. And of course, when it comes to international politics, he knows his onions. We are talking about Don Etinsa Igebo. So welcome to the program, African Discourse.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, viewers.
Okay. All right, so some of the information that we are following is that the 68th ordinary session of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government began at the State House Conference Center in Abuja on Sunday. And we understand that the summit featured a special debate on the future of the community alongside discussions on regional priorities, including political stability, security cooperation, and economic integration. And we also understand that regional leaders arrived in Nigeria. And, you know, the session was held, which was being chaired by the president of Sierra Leone and the ECOWAS Authority Chairman, Julius Maada Bio. And according to a statement on Bio's X-handle, the ECOWAS chairman arrived in Abuja on Saturday, and so many other issues were discussed. And according also to, you know, he wrote on his X-handle that he arrived in Abuja to preside over an ordinary session of ECOWAS Authority Heads of States and Government. And some of other related information we have is that in this gathering, important issues were discussed. Issues like regional, you know, regional expectations and the critical issues impacting on West Africa, which particular focus on recent incidents involving Guinea-Bissau, Benin Republic, and so many other items too. Then we also understand that at the end of the summit, it was said that a communique is expected, which will include the adoption of a final communique followed by a joint press conference. Well, what we are going to be dealing on today, like I said a while ago on this program, is to look at the position of ECOWAS as a bloc alongside the recent coup that have taken place in Africa. Then the big question, what is really the future of ECOWAS in all of all this? You know, as they happen almost every, since 2023, if I get my records correct now, that we saw the first coup, the one that happened in Mali, and of course the one that happened in Burkina Faso. It also happened in Guinea-Bissau, attempted in Guinea-Bissau, and also the one that was also attempted but was foiled in Benin Republic. So what does it tell for the ECOWAS? Is ECOWAS really able to handle issues of stability in West Africa? That's a very big question that analysts are still discussing. All right, so our guest today, Mr. Don Igebo, like what we are looking at the whole scenario of the recent coup here and there, you know, in West Africa, and we have a bloc that is supposed to unite these countries together economically, and also it spreads into security, you know, stabilization, unification, and all that. So what do you think is happening? Do you see ECOWAS as a bloc that is really being able to guarantee this regional, you know, security and stability in West Africa?
Yeah, so I'd like to think, yes, I see an ECOWAS state that will be able to stabilize it, because if you look at the trends of events in the last couple of years, you agree with me that the urge and the love and the desire at which the ECOWAS states came together as a democratic establishment and as a bloc in West Africa to create a new direction for its citizens has so many aspects to it. Aspects in the sense that people were committed to democracy for so many years. Some of these states or countries that have been taken over by the military had people residing there who, openly supported the idea of democratic rule. But over time, because of the ill will or the lack of ability or the will of the people in government under the democratic rule, most especially in some countries, to provide the dividends of democracy, it now creates some kind of uprising as to why people resent the center and feel tactically comfortable with things you ordinarily shouldn't be comfortable with, like a military coup. There's another aspect to the idea of the military formation and the aspect of stabilization in terms of security, because every democratic government you form, you certainly need the military backing to make it sustainable. And a lot of these military formations has a lot of influx of people from different aspects of the world that may necessarily have an agenda that they pursue, but by laying their life down to protect the sovereignty, gives them that closeness to that kind of leadership. And then when they turn the other side, they can there also exhibit certain character of some aspect of gains that they try to achieve by being the front runner of providing and protecting that democracy. So what am I trying to say? One aspect is the lack of will and political will in terms of bringing a better life to the people, especially in the Francophone area, and as well the aspect of the formation of government and what keeps government together. I think the overall idea of what I see, why I believe that ECOWAS will be able to keep it together, is that there need to be real commitment and genuinity in the aspect of governance.
Yeah, but what do you think? But what do you think has been happening to ECOWAS? I mean, for some time now, I don't want to say that ECOWAS seems to be one of the weakest blocs in Africa, but from the look of things, I mean, the way nations have been breaking out of ECOWAS and all that, so that's the question we're asking. Can it guarantee regional stability?
Yes, I mean, you have to understand that the ECOWAS is made of the Anglophone and the Francophone countries.
So is that the reason why?
Well, I just want to explain this.
Okay.
Maybe it will make sense eventually. So in the Anglophone area, there's a lot more stability because of the interface and exposure of those countries to the West. Like in the Francophone countries, yeah, they are exposed, but their doctrine in terms of how they police and interface with the citizens is very different. For example, if you go to Benin Republic or Ivory Coast or maybe Senegal, some of these French-speaking countries, the colonial masters from Paris still have that primitive hold on these people. They don't enjoy what we enjoy in the Anglophone nation, and that is a slight dichotomy and difference why you would question the ECOWAS states. ECOWAS is reasonably stable, but this Anglophone speaking aspect, like for instance, you take Cameroon for instance, the president is old, he's very, very old. He has run for another term, so things being done the same way for so long probably will never give you a different outcome. And if somebody or a certain group of people decides to rise up, it's not necessarily because they are following the trend of a coup in another, West African coast or ECOWAS countries, because of that peculiar Francophone interface with France. Like if you look at what happened in Ivory Coast, how Gbagbo was removed from Ouattara. Ouattara was married to a white French woman. You know what I mean? And there was some funding belonging to Ivory Coast that was needed in France on their foreign reserve, which Gbagbo refused to give to them. And for some reason, an election came about, and they said there was massive rigging in the north, which brought Ouattara. But Ouattara was elected in the process, but there were so many undertones. So what I'm trying to say is that the ECOWAS state, why I said they will stabilize whatever that is happening, is because it's mainly between the Anglophone and the Francophone speaking countries. And on the Francophone aspect, which countries you just mentioned, most of them are French-speaking countries. And I think when the approach changes from the economic and the power play between the colonial masters and those in power to stabilize things, but I think the issue of coup or military coup d'etat will be tactically abolished, and when there's economic balance and people are feeling the dividends, I think this will not be too bad. But when you look at other countries like Nigeria, Ghana, some of these other Anglophone countries, you agree with me that democracy is very stable, and irrespective of our challenges, you can visibly interface with certain aspects that things are going well, which creates hope for the common man, if you like.
All right, viewers out there, in case if you just joined us, the program is African Discourse on Independent Television, and our special focus this afternoon is looking at the 68th edition of ECOWAS Summit. It was held yesterday in the International Conference Center in Abuja, whereby heads of authority of states in in the sub-region in West Africa came together in Abuja. Well, our own President Bola Tinubu was not, he couldn't have, been part of that program. But the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, represented the President. And of course, we're going to be looking at, how he declared the event open yesterday in Abuja. Now, Don Igede, a while ago, Igebo, I beg your pardon, a while ago, you were trying to look at what seems to be responsible for when we think that ECOWAS has not been able to hold the region together, because you have two sets of people that have two colonial experience. You talked about the Francophone nations and, of course, the Anglophone nations. Now, the question that we ask again, you even made reference to Cameroon. That's where we have the Paul Biya, 92 years old, and, of course, the oldest president on earth. Now, the question that we ask, is ECOWAS aware of these, issues that may pull member nations apart in terms of stability? Like the idea of having a Paul Biya to run for another tenure. ECOWAS ought to have, maybe sent some signal to him before he even contested that election that, hey, this kind of tendency is not going to go good. Bearing in mind that when Cameroon is not stable, then of course it may snowball to other member states of the bloc. I hope you understand the question.
Yes,
so
I do.
Is ECOWAS aware of tendencies that some heads of state bring into governance that may even threaten the bloc, as it were?
You see, that is why, of course they are aware. That is why you see when some of these coups took place, it was difficult for ECOWAS to get involved because of certain elements that can become a collateral damage in the process. For example, the innocent people that may be caught in crossfire, the people you commit or the military you commit from ECOWAS that could possibly lose their lives over something they know has been in existence that they could have corrected by being magnanimous in their approach and the way they handle governance, and in that note, they have limitations in the West African states. Even if we as a people, whatever keeps an ECOWAS state together or as a bloc is the military formation. For instance, you take the unawareness, or rather the awareness of stopping the president of Cameroon not to run. They may be willing to say that, but the power that be, which is France, that has influence over who governs Cameroon, are the ones who should do or know better. Because, yes, I would say that because we're still a third world country that is still trying to find our footing because of the certain elements and hold at which certain people or establishment or countries run in the background to achieve economic benefits through mineral deposits, oil and gas, human infrastructure, or whatever. But at the same time, they have a face of that country.
Yeah.
You can have a Paul Biya, but whatever makes Paul Biya remains in power, which the ECOWAS state may not necessarily be bold enough to come up. Could be things that affects a superpower and what may have played out in the instance of maybe Gaddafi in Libya or Saddam Hussein in Iraq, whereby certain elements in the West wants that particular man to remain as president, and the ECOWAS state cannot boldly come out and say, we don't want that otherwise, because of the intricacies and bilateral relationship that respects sovereignty of those nations, irrespective of the wrongs that
Yeah,
is
but what
happening
about
there.
when it threatens the stability of,
Yeah,
of such?
if it threatens the stability, things
Yeah.
like this starts to happen. For instance, there is no coup that would take place in a country that doesn't have a foreign alignment with it. So they are almost pretty much in charge. But it is now...
So you mean the recent coup, the recent coups,
those attempts,
they have
yeah,
foreign,
obviously.
even the one that happened in Benin Republic 2 weeks ago,
well,
a week ago?
The one that happens in Benin Republic, there are different building blocks and elements to interest that I was trying to tell you. There could be the interest of the West should know better, but then maybe Africans should look inwards and say, well, we know they have influence over us, but I think we should govern these people right. I think we should give them good governance, make the economy better, make people live better in a certain way. That is within their interest to fix, which Africans are not fixing. And that is the reasons why they always have the opportunity to shut them down when there is a coup and the people are not on their side. But at the same time, when you look at some other aspect of the interest holistically, there are elements who are nomadic in nature, who may have in the last 4, 5, maybe several centuries ago, decades ago, came into these countries, worked their way through the system, and become people who hold on to power. Whereas their own number one idea is more like somebody who came to occupy a people. Not necessarily the people in this country being those ones in those lines of challenges. Like if you put your life on the line, I'll give an instance. If you live in the Western countries like America, Germany, England, or France, or any of these countries, if you're a foreign national and it decides to join the army, you're willing to lay your life down for that country, automatically you're integrated more into the system. Because they believe that you have love for that country. That is why you can die for that country. So automatically you can become a citizen of that country after like a year or 2 or 3. Most of my friends became citizens in England by joining the military. So when the influx came from the days of the Usman Dan Fodio and the formations of democracy from the colonial rule, which they also have an interface on who governs a particular country, there were so many elements who joined the military and other paramilitary forces that has now consolidated power and wealth, which can put off their khaki and becomes a president, democratic president. The interest still remains along those lines. So if there is a shake-up on changing a particular lineage of people who has come to occupy, like the Americans went to in America and they overcome the Red Indians. The Americans have remained in power, while the Red Indians are now like an ethnic minority within America. Yeah. So if they see that block of their interest is challenged, the only way to hold control, have control, is to quickly overthrow the government, who they feel is drifting away, supported by the same Western country, who is benefiting so much from this country. Why the people in power cannot give the necessary, dividends to the people by act of maybe being greedy, or not knowing exactly what to do, or not knowing when to quit. And at the end of the day, they remain in power. In the case of Paul Biya of Cameroon, I don't understand why a 90-something-year-old man should be in power when the French president, who is currently the president, came at a very young age. So these things is confusing. It is difficult to explain it and for us to quickly understand what is happening, because everybody is protecting their interest. Okay. The French are protecting their interest, which is the Western world. Those that came in that they use as a tool to take over power, who has established and now enjoying luxury, also protecting their interest. The indigenous, when they are waking up, sometimes there could be a coup attempt just to keep that power block along those lines of those they feel they can use to constantly milk African states. So there are many dichotomies to it.
Beautiful. All right, so the program is still Africa, and this comes on your television, independent television, and we are looking at the 68th edition of ECOWAS Summit, the one that happened yesterday in Abuja. And we're also asking the question, can ECOWAS as a bloc now, can it guarantee regional stability in the sub-region? I mean, looking at the gamut of, military coup here and there, and of course, issues around insecurity and all that. Now, Mr. Igebo, while the Vice President Kashim Shettima was declaring the events open yesterday, he made reference, he made a strong case for mutual respect among member states now of the bloc. Then he also said something about respecting boundaries and all that. But if we look at the way insecurity has crept into the sub-region, the West African sub-region, I think it's time we begin to break loose of this respecting, territorial boundaries and all that. Because I really don't understand, because this idea of respecting territorial boundaries has also been a major problem, in fighting insecurity in West Africa? Quickly.
Well, the question you asked is a very strategic question that I cannot personally believe that I will be able to tell you 100% what I felt the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, His Excellency, meant. But to me, so many thoughts will run through my mind as to why he will talk about respecting territories. Is it territories in terms of people sponsoring infidels to come into other people's country to take over?
Maybe he was still making
areas
reference to the U.S. Donald Trump, you know.
No, I mean, I don't think that will be a popular position with government when His Excellency Kashim Shettima said that. He's a very intelligent, smart man, the Vice President of Nigeria. Everybody knows that. It's an open secret that we all know that he's a very intelligent man. I think it's probably, to be fair, if he's probed more to understand, to explain exactly what he meant. I don't think he will be saying anything towards the American state or who their interference through any means or ways that they came in to interfering in the Nigerian state as to why security should be better.
To territorial
no, I mean,
sovereignty?
the territorial sovereignty can be in the case of maybe there are certain elements in other countries who are fueling instability into other people's border countries in terms of territorial integrity. If I'm in Cameroon or Chad and I'm sponsoring bandits to attack people in Nigeria, if he's in a privileged position as the vice president, he might be speaking along those lines to say, well, there's no need, we being African states, not to have a situation maybe from Burkina Faso or from Chad. Bandits are coming from there to attack and go back. And, the government there is not respecting
territorial
borders to man it properly and police it, rather than allowing these people to come and create problems. It could be what he's saying in the ECOWAS context. That is what I believe he's saying. I don't think, or will never want to believe that he's saying that maybe the American involvement in Nigeria as to what has given a kind of an open path to prosperity from having Christopher Musa, who was the Chief of Defense Staff, who shown what a general truly should be like, and the feedbacks that we are getting from Kaduna and all these other bandits-prone area and insecurity area.
But don't you think that's too early?
No, I mean, let me tell you this. When he became the Chief of Army Staff, or Defense Staff, he did a fantastic job. That many places that people couldn't go in Kaduna and some of these other areas, the insecurity thing started shrinking.
But he was also retired then. I mean,
no, it was not. It was the Chief of Defense Staff.
I know.
And before he retired, he's been in power. He was Chief of Defense Staff for more than a year.
Yeah.
Within the time he was there, you can see a significant difference.
Yeah, but some people at the risk of not trying to divert from. Well, in the meantime, let's quickly take a short break now. Don't forget the program is still Africa Discourse, and when we return on the other side of time, we're going to be looking at some other things that were talked about at the 68th edition of the ECOWAS Summit yesterday. Please hold on. All right, now, thanks for still being there. The program is still African Discourse on your television, and we are looking at the 68th ordinary session of ECOWAS yesterday, whereby issues were discussed, and of course, how to place, ECOWAS members and nations in the right perspective were also talked about. Now, my guest here, Don Igbo. Now, let's quickly look at the issue of mediation efforts, because that has been a strong issue that seems to have been lacking, in ECOWAS now. I mean, some analysts are of the opinion that it is because of lack of mediation that has made member states, some member states who have pulled out. Imagine Burkina Faso, Mali forming the Sahel, bloc on their own because of there's no proper mediation, for ECOWAS. Now, as it stands now, ECOWAS has a redoubled effort that from henceforth, particularly with what recent happenings, the Guinea-Bissau coup, the Benin Republic coup and all that from henceforth, mediation efforts is going to be heightened. Now, what difference do you think they're going to be bringing on board now?
See, before I respond to that question and answer what you said, we were having a conversation prior to that on the issues of territorial integrity. And what I was making the point is the break came on board. You see, territorial integrity are driven by people who are willing to do what is right. There's been so much infractions in our governance system in different countries whereby certain elements and people are allowed to exist and create problems. Let me put it that way. When I made reference to the then Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, who is now Minister of Defense, it is because as a general, he was willing to do the needful. And for the time he was there as the Nigerian Defense Chief, there was a massive improvement in security. So that is the sort of, there was.
Let us be careful. Let
me say this to you.
Why I said I don't want us to
to
digress.
Just a minute.
Because I remember.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Just a minute. You see, I'm not speaking because I'm partisan. No.
This is not politics.
I understand. This is African discourse.
Yes.
What I mean, I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking because it is partisanship or likeness. What I'm saying is that whatever policies that we need, or economic policies or political will to do certain things, you must be willing to carry it out. When you are willing, it works. But because certain elements are not willing and they posture like as if they want to, automatically they start to create a problem and give an impression of what doesn't exist. Because what we are talking about is coup and the issues of now mediation.
Mediation.
Is there enough interface? Of course. There's no way you look at interface when there's no coup that happens without a foreign interference. When the coup in Burkina Faso took place, the next countries that was there was Russia. Because Russia is not in line with the Western understanding because of the problem in Ukraine. If you don't understand this holistically, there's no way you can debate these conversations and make sense. Because mediation, is it that we're not humans? Is it that Burkina Faso has never had a bilateral relationship with us? Of course they have. But because of the people that has come on board, like in the Captain Traore, who is not really ready to deal with the ECOWAS arrangement, believing that the ECOWAS states in some of these bigger nations have an interface with country, in quote, like France, who has been sitting on them. So to discuss what is happening in Africa, to discuss what is happening in ECOWAS, to contemplate on whether or not there's enough mediation or not, these things are existing. The mediation is there. It is the feeling of the people in those states, like Traore, for instance, in Burkina Faso said, we are not getting the dividends of what we are giving out. So they took the opportunity and took over power. And when France tried to intervene, they said they were ready to die. So what I'm trying to say to you is that all these things have so many containments to it. And unfortunately, we've been dealing with each other and like brothers or business partners or foreign interface for so long with trust, but that trust was betrayed and the people are suffering and people take up arms as a way of fixing certain things.
Now, the reason why sorry to interrupt you, the reason why I brought up the issue of mediation, because if you look at what is going on in Guinea-Bissau, I mean, it looks as if that ECOWAS is still trying to, ECOWAS said that coup was staged. I mean, by the outgoing president who knows that he cannot win the election. And of course, he had to stage that coup. And, he went to Congo-Brazzaville. He first of all went to Senegal, then to Congo-Brazzaville and all that. Now, ECOWAS is still of the opinion that that coup was staged. ECOWAS is still not been able to mediate in the issue to ensure that, Guinea-Bissau is returned back to democratic rule. So, and of course, immediately after that, the one of our next door neighbor here, Benin Republic, almost happened too. So that's the reason why it looks as if that ECOWAS, is not being able to mediate among members states.
It's not that they're not being able to mediate. I think this very prima facie and very important questions you're asking now as to the challenge with ECOWAS and mediation has gone back to justify the things that I was talking about. Why would the president, in quote, I heard former President Goodluck Jonathan explaining what happened because he was there. That there was literally no coup. For some reason. It's just like when Abacha said Babangida said, former president of Nigeria, military president said, I was stepping aside and Babangida came in by pushing Senegal away. See, with Guinea-Bissau situation, I think when I listen to Goodluck Jonathan, it is more like a non-kinetic way of this so-called interest group from elsewhere who may have existed in a place for so long. That is their trademark. And being in power. Maybe the man in power is also in alliance or from the same place and lineage and understanding, or from a power broker with the military junta who is in charge.
Of course,
Just a minute. And then the minute he perceived, according to Goodluck Jonathan and those who were in the country at the time, that he cannot win, he said there was a coup. And then when the military took over, what next did he do? He decided to travel out of the country. So where is he traveling to? Is he going back to where he came from many decades ago, where he comes to sit in the throne by a certain power block, financing him into power and taking the resources, why these countries never really had the dividends of democracy, why mediation will become difficult? Are we really thinking outside the box now? Because it is obvious that a former president, Goodluck Jonathan, who is a member of the ECOWAS committee, a very senior person for that matter, is telling us.
A member of the Leaders Forum.
Yeah, he's telling the West African states that there was no coup.
Yeah.
So if it was done in a kinetic way, it means the military took over. Maybe from a different power block, who may not be in line with the military person who is the highest office holder. So by extension and by extension and by understanding from our conversation, I think I'm exonerated or exonerated for saying that there is always international elements to whatever that is happening in terms of governance in each of the different countries. The people are not in charge, and I'll use the example of the Red Indians in America. So imagine the West that came to America, for instance, got rid of the Red Indians, took over power, and one day one of the presidents there cannot win. If you face the Red Indians who are coming back and the head of military junta who can take over government from a civilian rule, the president announces a coup and he takes over, it means that the power remains with them. So the military guy there and the so-called coup they talked about in that aspect, it carries a completely different understanding. Then coming back to Benin Republic, you know, I think Nigerians showed strength. yeah, they did. They did show strength. Why did I say so? Why did I say so? Let me tell you. You see what you don't know. What you don't know. You see. Let me tell you what you don't. Let me tell you what you don't know and you don't understand. Nigeria is a very powerful country.
I know.
Just a minute.
But
just a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
See, let me tell you. If we are sitting and living in this place for 1 month, and there's calm over 29 days, the 1 hour or 1 day that there will be an unrest, that day becomes what overshadows all the good other days that things had existed. Don't forget Nigeria liberated Liberia.
We know.
Just a minute, bro.
I mean, just a minute,
bro. Nigeria liberated Sierra Leone. My uncle was in those wars. Nigerian army is so powerful that the issues of the Nigerian state and what is happening here is what is being faced from inside out now. It is more like a deliberate action. That is why I referenced Christopher Musa, who is a military general that has shown capacity. Because I spoke to people on ground in those troublesome terrorist area where people get killed all the time. Sometimes they even hide them. But at the end of the day, this government has taken on these people and it is coming down. So if I say that Nigeria acted swiftly with Benin Republic, believe me, the Nigerian intervention would have been one of the reasons because they called for help. So it is now for us to believe that.
Yeah, they called for help. The response at which the Nigerian authority, gave to that call is what is still, a big surprise to most Nigerians.
It shouldn't be surprised to them.
We've had incidences of
because we Nigerians
of such calls.
We Nigerians
from the terrorist enclave.
No, we Nigerians will undermine our military. We Nigerians will undermine our police. We Nigerians will undermine our air force. They put their life on the line. They do a lot of good work. By the time they do good work, they don't propagate it.
Hold on,
bro. You're living here. Are you not in Nigeria?
Calls at home?
Bro, you're in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But you can move around now. If there are areas and remote areas and there's a bandits attack, and then they decide to put it online, people help them to propagate it and look and see if this thing that is happening is just what is dominant in the state.
Now there are places that you cannot go to in this country.
Bro, let me tell you, if you don't understand how big Nigeria is, there are areas that is not governed. The country is so big.
It's not governed?
There are areas in Nigeria that are not governed. Go to
Kissinger.
Within
the territory of Nigeria?
In Nigeria, there are areas we don't have the capacity.
You cannot say so that areas that are not governed. We have a president. Are you saying
you don't understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are areas in the country because it's so big there are terrains that is not easy to access. Even if people are hiding there, it is difficult to just reach them. You have to understand the operational model of a military and the Air Force and the Navy, you would need to understand it to know that technology.
Away from that,
to know that technology. Hold on. To know
Yeah.
that technology is what they use in the Western world to achieve those aims. Even in America, they were building a wall with Mexico. It is difficult for them to govern those areas efficiently. So it's not just with Nigeria. It's not enough for us to say, oh, we are surprised that Nigeria. Bro, Nigeria is a powerful country.
Anyway,
even if people are there trying to undermine it, the time has come now. The time has come now when those
we have
things
some
will
other
start
issues
to
to look
work.
at now on this topic today. Now, let's quickly look at the issue of trade liberalization.
Okay.
You know, because one of the reasons why the summit was held yesterday was to look at issues of trade liberalization. Now, as we speak now, if I come again now to tell you that ECOWAS has still not been able to handle the issue of trade liberalization among members states, it's going to be a big issue. But that is the truth, because as we speak now, member states of ECOWAS still find it difficult to trade freely among member states. The issue of an identical currency among member states is still an issue. I mean, what are we talking about?
Well, I think we can't keep going on in the same circle. I think we've actually mentioned one of the key reasons why it is that way. Just because we call ourselves ECOWAS, there's a francophone aspect, there's the anglophone aspect, there are interests from the West, there are interests within, there are abilities and inabilities, there are the committed people, there are the non-committed people. Having a single currency can be blocked by, for instance, if Russia comes to the aid of Burkina Faso. Yes, they were in the ECOWAS. But if they were in the ECOWAS and certain Western powers who does not see what they benefit from Africa, that particular Burkina Faso, as an interference from the next other West African country is also milking Nigeria, how would they have a common currency if the person that is helping you to look for what is lost is the one that has stolen it? This is what we've suffered for so many years. So you cannot talk about insecurity in Nigeria. You cannot talk about the our shortfall in the West African sub-region. You cannot talk about the issue of bilateral relationship in terms of trade and common currency without looking at those factors. Those factors are the biggest problem. They don't even want the West African countries as a people to have a common currency that will make them feel united as one, because they have interest in those countries. Even in the insecurity stuff that you talk about, for instance, is it not sophisticated weapons that are very expensive to acquire that they are using? Where are they coming from? You think they cannot be traced? So I believe that over time, when the indigenous people of such land takes over the power and not interest from people financing problems from outside and people melting and pretending to be part of a nation, do not rise to power quickly, because that's their forte, to hold on to power and pretend to be one of you. It will be difficult to have certain of these things work together. I'll give you an instance. In the Western Bloc, from the US to Germany to France to Spain to Holland to England to Italy, most of these countries are all people of the same lineage.
How is
leading
that?
them. Yeah, because from the First World War until the Second World War and the creation, they have same ideology.
Okay.
So they behave similarly. So when Canada is doing anything, England will support the same idea, because that fact has been established. That is why they have monarchy. Imagine having a family tree of people across West African states governing the different countries, be it on migration and resettlement, without them being cornered and pushed out by a new bloc coming in. You see that bilateral and business relationship will be smoother. But because of the minerals in Africa and how blessed we are, and there are people who are buying those minerals, even if they are stolen, having synergy in this aspect of ECOWAS having a challenge will remain. That is why you see them, they keep trying and trying. They keep trying and trying. But what I think the ECOWAS leaders should do is that they themselves should do with what they have and reduce their level of corruption and inabilities and inefficiency, work for their people, let their people see dividends of democracy. Not in the 21st century, people complain about hunger. Even when you come in to try to fix that problem, people, they talk about today. If they're not feeling that comfort, they still complain, even if you are doing the right thing. So
all right, quickly,
it's a complex situation.
Yeah, Don, because of time, as we commence our descent now let's look at, because we understand that at the end of the day, there's going to be an adoption of a final communique, on how to deal with all these issues that we've been talking about with ECOWAS and all that. So what kind of final resolution. In other words, now a final communique. What is going to be the content of that communique? What is it going to look like? That ECOWAS is now going to hold as a tool, so that they can really handle all these challenges that has been bedeviling the bloc.
Well, the common one that we all know is very simple. It's good governance. Okay. When you give people good governance, you bring in the experts to handle the economy, and there's no negative inflation. You're not looting every country. The Westerners will loot, you will loot, because you have opportunity to be in power, and you expect the hungry man on the streets to have an understanding. I think those are the sort of, they need to talk to themselves. They need to bring out a communique as if we are trying to do this, but they know what the problems are. Yeah. I'll give you an instance. When South Africa was dealing with the apartheid, then down in the south of Africa, Nigeria was feeding them. Nigeria was taking care of them. Nigeria helped them to start their military. Nigeria helped them to start so many things and sustain South Africa. But today, because there's always that infiltration and elements of interest in Nigeria and South Africa, they still find a way to use ignorance and social media to divide these people.
All right, so the content of that communique now should be good governance.
Good governance. Okay. Once they can bring about good governance and the people can feel the impact, and there's no much suffering in those countries whereby one man, for example, in Cameroon, will be in power and is 92 and is still there. When you have situations like that, it's mind-boggling, it's frustrating. We don't need those kind of stuff. You should go and sleep and rest.
All right, so we will draw the curtain here today. I want to say a very big thank you, Don, for coming on the program today. It's always a delight to have you on our discussion talk shows. Well, so this is where we'll end the program today, African Discourse on Independent Television. And of course, we have seen the 68th edition ordinary session of ECOWAS Summit that happened yesterday in Abuja. And I want to say kudos to the federal authority, the Nigerian government, the way they received heads of authority of states in Nigeria yesterday. Well, the communique, like what we said, that the communique, the content of the communique should be that good governance. Member states of ECOWAS should ensure that there is thorough good governance for member states, so that all these challenges we are talking about, talking about the inability of ECOWAS to really guarantee, stability in terms of security and otherwise, should be a thing of the past. All right, so we'll end the program here today until the same time next week with another topic and, of course, another set of panelists. My name is Evan Sunohugie.
ITV, certainly the best.
Go ask, go look for pet there.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, new vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is Anegbete community, situated in Isako Central Local Government Area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age was the main determinant of leadership in the rural setting, and the eldest man in the settlement was regarded as the leader who presided over meetings, and his authority is held in high esteem. To further strengthen this unique system of leadership, age group evolved in Anegbete.